Hi, I'm Sat E Niangi. It's Sat E Day on WrestleTalk. Here's today's top story. On the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer opened the floodgates with news of a CM Punk WWE return. Is it going to happen? It was reported that Punk and WWE had been in talks with no deal yet completed according to WWE. However, it was Punk's intention to return. Nick Hausman on House of Wrestling went even further, revealing that according to a WWE source, Punk returning at November 25th's Survivor Series in Chicago is considered a safe bet. According to Fightful Select, in late September, Punk's side put out feelers to WWE to gauge interest, with a WWE employee even suggesting to someone on Punk's side to go directly to Vince McMahon in order to secure a return. As for WWE, they fully believe Punk would sign, with multiple sources close to Punk believing as such. However, WWE feel the ball is in their court. Due to Punk's seeming lack of other options, WWE reportedly believe Punk's leverage isn't what it once was 4 months, 14 months, or 3 years ago, something that could prove crucial in negotiations over Punk's pay and schedule upon a return. Crucially, there have always been major doubts regarding how a Punk return will be received backstage, as according to Fightful, Punk still has a ton of heat in WWE, mostly from his run with the company a decade ago. Did I say decade with confidence, yeah?
You got it right, yeah, you're all good.
Gosh, English is my second language. In an attempt to avoid any brawl-out repeats, it's noted that known Punk detractors would be consulted prior to return, although one WWE talent insisted the talk would need to be with Punk instead. A top star told Fightful Punk wouldn't be able to pull any of his shit in WWE with nobody here he could jump without getting his ass handed to him. Yikes. As for talent who may have issues with Punk returning, it's solely reportedly Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. No big deal! Fightful notes that if a Punk return was to happen, an effort to mend fences would have to be made with several influential people, which also includes, of course, head of creative Triple H. But you like that? I said Triple H.
Triple H.
Triple H. Interestingly, despite Punk now maybe seeing WWE as greener pastures, a top AEW star noted that prior to Brawl Out, Punk would still run down Hunter and Vince and would be surprised if he returned, as now he's in a much less forgiving situation from a career perspective. According to a top WWE talent, they believe Trips wouldn't risk the negativity by bringing Punk in, but it's possible. Another WWE source believes that Punk's appearance backstage at Raw on April 24th was an attempt to get his job back, while others believe it was more to create allies in the company. But to be fully transparent, in Fightful Select's report, it was noted that as of 2 weeks, there was no indication from Fightful sources that Punk and WWE were in talks. So depending on who you believe, there could be talks, there could not be talks, or there could not have been talks, and now they are. It's intriguing to say at least. Also, there's tons of news today, including updates on WWE signing AEW talent, The Undertaker on NXT, Mercedes Moné, AEW Future, and more. So check out WrestleTalk.com. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, he's the hardest working man in WrestleTalk. I kid you not. He's been here since 6 a.m. Mother effing, what's he trying to do? Be employee of the month? And also today, a lot of people say, hey, you guys look alike. Are you guys twins? He's also considered my sexy twin. Ladies and gentlemen, Chopper Pete Quinnell.
Hi.
The camera goes black.
WrestleTalk rips the mask off crime, politics, and intrigue in the jaw-dropping new book, Wrestling Unmasked, featuring some of the most shocking and controversial stories ever in professional wrestling. You simply won't want to miss it. Pick up your copy at WrestleShop.com or via Amazon today.
Tempest is off because it's his birthday weekend. Happy birthday, Pete. So it's time for me to recap everything that happened on AEW Rampage in 1 minute and in one take. Start the timer. The remnants of JAS, I think that's their new faction name now, lost to the babyface team of Best Friends and the Hardys, and there was dissension between them backstage. Eddie Kingston says he'll defend his ROH title against Jay Lethal when he stops clowning around with Jarrett et al. Stokely Hathaway has a proposition for Sanjay Dutt. Danhausen will be coming back soon as he got a video package here, and Claudio and Wheeler Yuta beat the team of Levi Shapiro and Wise Guy Ruiz pretty quickly. Commander became the new #1 contender for the Ring of Honor title by winning a 4-way involving him, Penta Johnny TV, and debuting Lince Dorado. Lucha things. Ortiz did an amazing promo against Santana, which heated this rivalry up to heights unforeseen for them so far. Loved it. More of this, please. And the main event saw Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander put away the team of Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose. Shida won with a nightcap. Soraya's finisher, sending her a message in the process. There you go. Almost flawless. There was a couple of mistakes in there, but you know what? I'm happy with it. And now, it's time for my review of SmackDown in about 5 minutes. This show began with LA Knight, yeah, but before he could get into his promo, he was interrupted by the Bloodline and Paul Heyman. Jimmy cuts off this promo interaction himself and says, as he did last week, that Knight isn't making it to Fastlane. To add to the mirror of last week, Cena comes out to save Knight this time, and once again, Jimmy is upstaged by everyone else around him. The main event is set for Jimmy Uso versus LA Knight. This segment was fine. The Judgment Day were backstage next with JD McDonough, which Damian Priest questions, but Rhea said he's there because she invited him. He's here for a reason. I sure hope we find out what that reason is. There was quite a lot of Judgment Day stuff scattered on this show, so I'll lump it all together later on. Up next in the ring, though, was Charlotte Flair and Asuka versus Io Sky and Bayley, and when they played the recap video from last week, I realized just how similar this story is to the Bloodline Knight and Cena stuff. Babyface is outnumbered by 2 heels, is saved by other babyface, tag match. The babyface being saved by the other babyface even happened in the opening segment on this show too. Is there no other way to tell the story here? Regardless, this match was alright. A pretty standard WWE TV match, ending in miscommunication on both ends, with Charlotte big booting Asuka and Bayley knocking Io off the ring, allowing Charlotte to hit the natural selection on Bayley for the win. This was also fine. Rey Mysterio took on Bobby Lashley next in a non-title match, so I wonder who's winning. The action itself was good, but nothing special considering we know how well these two can go. Everyone gets involved in the finish, with the Street Profits causing a distraction, getting into a brawl with Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro, and coming out on top, allowing Lashley to hit the spear on Mysterio to get the win. The Profits hit a nasty looking throw into a German suplex on Wilde, which looked awesome. Just a shame then, though the cameras missed it the first time and we could only see it fully in a replay, especially considering it was used in an angle later on, but you know it is what it is. Rey said that for Fastlane tomorrow, Wilde and Del Toro are out, which means there's only 2 of them against Lashley and the Profits, but Rey said, let me make a call. I genuinely don't know who that could be, so I'm curious to see what happens in that match, where I anticipate Santos turns heel on Rey to give Lashley and the Profits the win. Austin Theory took on Dragon Lee next, where Grayson Waller came out after a few seconds. Why not just come out with Theory to begin with? Who knows? But again, this match was a perfectly standard WWE TV match. Dragon Lee hit a cool looking powerbomb, but most of the action was passable. After Waller got involved again, Cameron Grimes came out and evened the odds, allowing Lee to get the roll-up victory over Theory. It's good that Lee's getting wins, but I don't think Austin Theory is the man to keep his momentum going. Damian Priest teased doing a cash-in at Fastlane, watching a video package about Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins. Roman Reigns will be back next week. Add that graphic to the collage of Roman Reigns Returns graphics, and also Triple H will be there too because it's the season premiere of SmackDown. So here's all the Judgment Day and Bloodline stuff on the show before the main event. After Jimmy failed to attack Knight at the start of the show, he was lamenting through the corridors with Heyman and Solo that someone needs to be around to make the calls, and since Roman isn't here, he was stepping up and making calls. They walk into their locker room and Judgment Day are sitting there, and when questioned if they're in the wrong locker room, they say they're exactly where they're supposed to be. After an ad break, Judgment Day and Bloodline were staring down each other in a very well shot angle, but Rhea calls for them all to leave so she and Heyman can have a chat. Rhea tells Heyman to do the smart thing, to join forces with the Judgment Day, as they're better together than against each other. Heyman says he likes it but needs it approved by the tribal chief and goes to pick up the phone. Rhea pushes the phone down, saying it's already authorized. Heyman is confused and Rhea leans in and tells Heyman, acknowledge me. She said Heyman needs to acknowledge her or they'll find out who's stronger, Judgment Day or Bloodline. And now he can make his little call. So then we get to the main event. LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso. It goes a few minutes, and after an arbitrary amount of time, Solo Sikoa runs in and attacks Knight to cause the DQ because John Cena runs out to save Knight again, which then brings out Judgment Day. But whose side are they on? Did Heyman accept the peace offering? Yes. He did. He and Rhea shake hands. Heyman says it's authorized, so Judgment Day and Bloodline get up onto the apron together to stare down Knight and Cena. But then, here's Jey Uso, here's Cody Rhodes, the cavalry's here. Heyman sees the warning signs and pulls Solo Sikoa away from the apron just as the brawl breaks out. The babyfaces stand tall, and that's the show. So, Judgment Day and Bloodline alliance. I'm interested. Do I think this will actually lead to anything significant down the road? No. Not really. Do I think this was just done as a moment on the show so we could have the four babyfaces standing tall together? Yes. Yes, I do. Corey Graves even said on commentary that for at least tonight, there's a truce. And a truce is way less exciting than an actual alliance between factions. I was thinking that from the way that the backstage promos were going, that we were heading to a Bloodline versus Judgment Day War Games match, or at least a match against each other at Survivor Series, but now, I just think this was a moment done for a moment's sake. I've seen some people online be really hyped on this ending, calling it one of the best and hottest SmackDown endings in forever, and I just don't agree. It just felt really, superficial. There just wasn't much depth to it. This entire show, when you total it up, was pretty much pointless. The wrestling was fine at its best. The stories barely progressed for Fastlane. They were just reinforced at the level they already were before the show. And the most intriguing plotline through the show amounted to a lot of nothing because of the four babyfaces. And hey, if the Judgment Day Bloodline stuff carries on beyond this, then maybe I'm wrong. But as of right now, I just think it's all a bit throwaway. Did this make me more excited for Fastlane? With the exception of who will Ryan Santos' tag team partner be? No, this SmackDown gets a 2 out of 5. And hey, while you're here, Ollie's back from Japan soon, so I've done my final 3-count episode where I filled in for him, where me and Luke review every Women's World Champion in 3 words or less. Check it out, here's a clip. It's time for the 1, 2, 3 count. Hi. That's weird if you've never been here before. Welcome to the